So there is a big possibility that a fourth round of stimulus checks will be going out to those on Social Security. Nancy Pelosi says the House of Representatives will continue to make changes on the infrastructure bill. And this is great news for all of us. The Congressional Progressive Caucus got the best of Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden again, after the pair pushed for a vote on the infrastructure bill before Biden's climate summit in the UK next week.
Significantly. In Pittsburgh, I met an IBW electrical worker who climbs up on those power lines in the middle of a storm to try to put transformers in to keep the lights on when storms hit. He calls himself a 100% union guy. His job's dangerous. As he said, I quote, "I don't want my kids growing up in a world where the threat of climate change hangs over their heads," end of quote. Folks, we all have that obligation to our children and to our grandchildren. The bipartisan infrastructure bill is also the most significant investment since we built the interstate highway system and won the space race decades ago. This is about rebuilding the arteries of our economy. Across the country now, there are 45,000 bridges and 173,000 miles of roads that are in poor condition. Some of the bridges you don't even take a chance of going across. They're shut down. They can't be built back to the same standard because the weather's not going to get a lot better. We just got to keep from getting a heck of a lot worse. We have to build back better and stronger. No one should have to hold their breath as they cross a rundown bridge or a dangerous intersection in their hometown. We're going to put hardworking Americans on the job to bring our infrastructure up to speed. Good union jobs at prevailing wages. Jobs you can raise a family on. My dad would say you can have a little breathing room. Jobs that can't be outsourced. Jobs replacing lead water pipes so families can drink clean water. Improving the health of our children and putting plumbers and pipe fitters to work. Jobs laying thousands of miles of transmission lines to build a modern energy grid. Jobs making a high-speed internet affordable and available everywhere in rural and urban America, particularly including the 35% of rural America that goes without it right now. This pandemic has made clear the need for affordable and available high-speed internet. The idea of a parent having to put their kids in a car for virtual learning, drive and sit in a McDonald's parking lot so their child can access the internet when school is taught virtually is not only unnecessary, it's just wrong. It's wrong. As I said before, these plans are fiscally responsible. They are fully paid for. They don't add a single penny to the deficit. They don't raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. In fact, they reduce the deficit. Here's how. I don't want to punish anyone's success. I'm a capitalist. I want everyone to be able to, if they want to be a millionaire or billionaire, to be able to seek their goal. But all I'm asking is, pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. And right now, many of them are paying virtually nothing. Last year, the 55 most profitable corporations in America, 55 of them, paid zero in federal income tax on about $40 billion in profit. If they report big profits to their shareholders, they should be paying taxes. It's that simple. That's why the Build Back Better framework will have a 15% minimum on the largest corporations, a minimum tax of 15%. The top 1% of the wealthiest Americans have paid, it's estimated by the experts, $160 billion a year in federal taxes. That's wrong. We're going to change that. I want to emphasize what I said from the beginning. Under my plans, if you earn less...
The group and chairwoman, Representative Pramila Jayapal, are demanding more Congress, demanding more progress on the passage of Democrats' reconciliation and spending plan. As before, they will let the bipartisan infrastructure bill pass, because they just don't trust the moderates to pass it. Jayapal said in a statement, the reality is that while talks around the infrastructure bill lasted months in the Senate, there has only been serious discussion around the specifics of the larger Build Back Better Act in recent weeks. Members of our caucus will not vote for the infrastructure bill without the Build Back Better Act. We will work immediately to finalize and pass both pieces of legislation through the House together. That's what she added. But Jia Powell and her members also endorsed the framework for a reconciliation bill that President Biden released, which will cost $1.75 trillion. $1.75 trillion is a large amount of money, but it's half of the $3.5 trillion progressives were pushing for at the beginning of the reconciliation process. And some progressives had their sights set even higher, on a bill that might cost $6 trillion or more. So, the press needed to drop because of Senators Manchin and Sinema, as well as some moderates in the House and Senate. They were concerned about spending too much money as the economy is coming out of the crisis. Now, neither Sinema nor Manchin have endorsed that Biden reconciliation framework yet. Democrats admit that there is still a lot of work to do to turn the president's proposal into a final bill that will pass both the House and Senate. And the thing is that any one senator or just a handful of House members can take the whole endeavor. But with progressive support for a plan that represents massive compromises on many of their biggest priorities, Democrats appear to be inching closer to a deal that could see both infrastructure and reconciliation pass in November. Representative Omar said, "We are excited about the framework. We are excited about the progress that has been made." And now she's calling for a fourth stimulus check. Now calls for fourth stimulus checks are also continuing to grow. Stimulus checks were given to Americans as a way to boost the economy and help Americans desperately in need of financial help. Many Americans are actually owed $1,400 and will not be paid until 2022. Anyone who has added a baby to their family in 2021 is also owed that $1,400 with a 2021 tax return. In California and other states are still doing the stimulus packages for their state residents. California expects to send out 9 million Golden State stimulus checks, while 4.5 million are still owed $1,100 from the state in checks from the first round. A third round of checks for Californians has not been announced, but it is not out of the realm of reality. Florida is also giving its residents who are teachers stimulus checks worth $1,000. And Connecticut is giving residents that join work after 8 weeks off unemployment $1,000. The Social Security cost of living adjustment for 2022 could be the highest in decades. However, that increase to monthly checks will not be enough. In a letter sent to members of both the House of Representatives and Senate this week, the Senior Citizens League is ramping up its calls for new $1,400 checks to be sent out at once to Social Security beneficiaries. Next year's Social Security COLA is projected to be at least 6%, driven by rising consumer prices. That will well be below the 1.3% increase that beneficiaries saw their monthly checks this year. Yet the increase may not be sufficient to help recipients, some of whom have had to cut back on their spending on food or seek aid from other pantries, like SNAP benefits. Everybody, I truly appreciate your amazing support. If you have any more questions about the fourth stimulus check, then leave them in the comments below.